I'm going to suggest that you pre-suade what they say to you by saying, but before we begin, I have a question for you. I'm curious. Why did you invite me here today?
You're listening to Business Lunch with Roland Frasier. This is your seat at the table.
I loved your idea for job interviewees about pre-framing the interview by asking 2 questions before it starts. Could you share those 2 questions? Because I think that this applies to everything, not just job interviews.
It applies to sales settings as well. So, you know how if you go to a job interview, you typically face an evaluator or sometimes a group of maybe 2 or 3 of them in a room, and you are trained to say, I'm very happy to be here. I'm happy to answer all of the questions that you have for me, right? And you stop and you let them fire. I'm going to suggest that you pre-suade what they say to you by saying, but before we begin, I have a question for you. I'm curious. Why did you invite me here today? What was it about my candidacy that was attractive? And what you will experience is these people going into their materials and describing all the good things about you, your experience, your credentials, your traits, and the interview will proceed from that platform. Right? I have a colleague, not a colleague, he's an acquaintance, who claims he's gotten 3 better jobs in a row by using this strategy. He said he was even in one interview where there were 3 people evaluating them, and they each came up with a different reason. Oh, well, it's how consistent you are with the values of our organization, or it's your background.
It cements that as a fact, right? Which is awesome.
Yeah. Yes, and now they were arguing with one another about why they should hire him, or the reason they should hire him.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I think you can do that in a sales situation where you have competition against other rivals. Can you tell us why you decided that we would be one of your, right? Now they're going to be talking about all of the positive features of you, your products, your service.
How do you decide which influence and persuasion approaches to use in a situation? Is there, do you have an order that you think one's more powerful than another? How do you approach that?
I'm going to answer that 2 ways. One is to be sure that you don't have a favorite approach that you use across situations. I had a colleague who studied for 3.5 years the question, he tried to answer, what is the single most effective sales tactic? Right? And I saw him at a conference and he said, I found it. The single most effective sales tactic is not to have a single sales tactic. That's naive. That's ridiculous. All right. So you want to go into every situation looking for what's there available. Is there true scarcity there? Use it. Is there true authority? Use it. Is there true commitment that they've already made that they could be considered? Use it. All right. The other thing is to say there's certain levels of relationship. If the relationship is new, use reciprocity and liking to build the relationship. All right. There's another level where people feel good about you, but they're uncertain of whether to choose. Use social proof and authority. That reduces uncertainty of what you are saying is the right thing. But then when you've got those 2 things and you want people to move, use commitment and consistency. This is what you've said. This is what's next. Or scarcity. You have to go now, otherwise you will lose. Those are the things that mobilize people after you've got the first 2 things in place.
So now you also said that you think that there is a 7th principle to influence.
Yes.
What is that?
That's the principle of unity, the idea that we share a common identity And I'll give you a quick example of how we can use that. One of the things we love to do is co-creation with our customers, prospects, clients, and so on. Help us develop the next model, the next generation of what we have to offer. Tell us what you're going to appreciate about this. And then we will, together with you in this partnership, develop that optimal next generation. Right? That's brilliant to do that. We want a partner. But here's what we must very often mistakenly say to those individuals. Can you give us your opinion on this? What you think? When you ask for someone's opinion, that person takes a half step back from you and becomes a critic. If instead you change one word and ask for that person's advice, he or she takes a half step forward towards you psychologically.
It's a huge insight.
Yes, you have pre-suaded them to be a partner with that one word, advice. And in fact, research shows that when you ask for advice on some new initiative, people are not only more favorable to it before they experience it, they feel a closer bond with you because you've asked them to be a collaborator with you rather than a critic of you.
That's great.
You've been listening to Business Lunch with Roland Frasier. If you're enjoying the show, let us know by subscribing and leaving a review. And for more information, go to businesslunchpodcast.com. Thank you for listening.